record in the matter of Church v. Johnson. Case number D-20-615-515C. May I have your appearance, Mr. Schoenfeld?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Richard Schoenfeld, bar number 6815 from the law offices of Chestnut and Schoenfeld, appearing on behalf of the plaintiff, Jessica Church, who is present.
Okay, welcome to you both. Ms. Cole.
Good afternoon, Lorian Cole, bar number 11912, on behalf of Brooks Johnson, who is present via Blue Jeans.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. So, here we are. Anything we need to discuss before we proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. I did issue a subpoena to Detective Kennedy from the North Las Vegas Police Department to be here today at 1:30. I have not heard from him, nor is he present. So I don't know if maybe Ms. Cole has heard from him since the last time we were in court, but I have not.
Have you heard from him, Ms. Cole?
No, I have not, although I was wondering about that subpoena and the court's request to have him come in, because I believe that if an officer is in an ongoing investigation, they're actually not allowed to reveal any information. That's what I've been told, but again, that would be up to him and whatever he,
Well,
if he appeared, which obviously he didn't. I can't get a hold of him. He will not speak to me either
I was
anymore.
gonna say, well, if that's the case, then why would he be giving you information?
I just heard that in a court proceeding, they don't allow the officers to testify about ongoing investigations. That's just what I heard from other criminal attorneys.
Mr. Schoenfeld, I have to defer to you on that one, since you're the
Your Honor,
criminal
had he
attorney.
been here and it is an ongoing investigation, I would have anticipated that there are areas that he would not discuss. Not all areas, but I'm sure there would be some areas that there are ongoing investigative techniques that he wouldn't discuss, but we would still expect him to show up and ask the court for the ability to decline to answer certain areas of questions. But in general, who the subjects or targets of an investigation are, I don't think that that's something that a detective would decline to testify to.
Okay, that's what I would have anticipated.
And I was going to say, certainly I'm not justifying not showing up for a subpoena at all. I agree with Mr. Schoenfeld.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. So nobody has any information on the status of the criminal investigation?
All I can tell, Your Honor, is that my client has represented to me that she has not been contacted by law enforcement in reference to that allegation.
Okay. Do you have any knowledge of whether or not her boyfriend has been contacted?
According to my client, he has not been contacted, nor have I heard independently that he was contacted.
Okay. All right. All right. So when we left off last time we were together, it was day 7 on May 16th. So today is day 8. Excuse me. And you were in the continued direct exam of your client, Ms. Cole. Is that everybody's recollection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I thought I had just rested for the moment, and we were about to move to Mr. Schoenfeld. Am I wrong on that? That's what my notes
You
said.
might be right. Let me take a look at my notes. I was looking at something else. When we reconvened, Dad, to begin cross-examination by Mr. Schoenfeld.
Okay.
So you are correct. All right, Mr. Schoenfeld. So let's go ahead and let's swear both of the parties in while we're at it.
Sir, please raise your right hand. You and each of you do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I didn't hear Mr. did you
Sir?
hear-
I do.
Thank you.
All right, so let me just review the status of your times. I show that Ms. Cole has used 11 hours, 22 minutes. And Mr. Schoenfeld has used 7 hours, 13 minutes. Oh, there's somebody in the foyer there.
Oh, this would be a detective, looks like.
Oh, looks like a detective.
They have that look.
You'll
It's
just
back-
do
no,
this?
that's- I gotta judge. It's
Well,
back.
look, I was gonna practice.
Yeah, it's- I keep it there, so.
You might be off the hook for a few more minutes, Mr. Johnson. You ready to go forward, calling this witness if it is who we think it is?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Of course, Ray is showing him out to the hall, so that's.
Detective Kennedy, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, bring him in.
Step right up here, sir. Right. Step right up here, remain standing, face down, please. Raise your right hand, please.
You and each of you do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay, please be seated. Microphone, make sure you speak loud and clear. Don't look at these till you've been asked to.
Okay.
Welcome, sir.
Hey, how you doing?
Could you state your full name and spell it for the record?
Yep. Dave Kennedy. Kennedy. Kennedy.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schoenfeld.
Thank you. Detective Kennedy, where are you employed?
City of North Las Vegas.
In what capacity?
Right now I'm in robbery, violent crime.
How long have you served in that division?
6 months now.
What was your position prior to robbery and violent crimes?
Undercover narcotics.
For how long?
8 years.
Your status is in fact detective.
Yes,
Are you familiar with an individual named Brooks Johnson?
I am.
How are you familiar with him?
He's a case we're working where he was shot in the back.
Can you describe the circumstances of the shooting?
Right now it's an ongoing investigation. I wouldn't want to talk too much about it.
I'm gonna leave it to your Honor's discretion. If he's invoking the law enforcement investigative privilege adds to the circumstances, and I can move on to the.
I think
Fine,
that's
question.
perfectly appropriate for him to invoke that privilege, but to the extent that you're able to share with us the answers to Mr. Schoenfeld's questions,
Okay.
we'd appreciate it.
Have you developed any suspects as it relates to that shooting?
Again, that's something I wouldn't want to say in an ongoing investigation.
Well, from my experience, if I were to call you up and say, I understand there was a shooting on the following date, is Jessica Church a subject, a target, a person of interest? That's something that you would normally be able to tell me without invoking a privilege. Is that fair?
I mean, her name comes up in the investigation, of course, but I mean, I can't say. I really can't say who's doing what at this point or what we have going on at this point.
Can you,
I mean, it's been over 3 months, but we have a lot of things going on. You know,
as you sit here today, are you able to inform the court that Jessica Church is either a subject, a target, or a person of interest?
what are the three again?
Subject or target, let's start with those.
Wait, stand by. Who is this?
Trying to find, I don't know
Oh.
which one. We're not in breakout room?
Yeah, this is a sealed case.
I'm moving us in right now, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you.
Just have to wait.
Okay. We're in a breakout session. Are you able to repeat your question? Ms.
Yes, I am, Your Honor. Starting with subject or target, as you sit here today, are you able to state that Jessica Church is a subject or target of that investigation?
I can say without any doubt, Jessica is not the suspect that shot Brooks.
Is she suspected in being, is she a suspect as defined in criminal law of orchestrating or being involved in the shooting?
Object here. You asked that question, and the detective already said he's invoked the privilege. He asked if earlier Jessica was a suspect.
I find it intriguing that Mr. Johnson's counsel,
I
who
thought
is
so too.
suggesting that.
Well, it's not that. I just.
Ms. Cole, you're interrupting. Can we really minimize that today, Ms. Cole?
Yes.
I was just gonna state that I find it intriguing that the person who is invoking this investigation as a reason that my client shouldn't have custody and or visitation and should have a protective order against her is now trying to use that as a shield to us gathering information.
I do as well. Overruled. Can you repeat your question, Mr.
Yes.
Schoenfeld?
As you sit here today, is Jessica Church you testified she's not a suspect in terms of having actually shot?
Yes,
As you
without a doubt, she did not shoot Brooke in the back, 100%.
Okay. As you sit here today, and I'm not asking for without a doubt standard, under oath, are you able to say that she's a suspect of having been involved either orchestrating or causing the shooting?
That I can't say. We're still investigating a few leads. I shouldn't say several, a few leads. And could her name pop up? Yes. Could it not? Of course not.
But as of right now, you're not going to be able to testify under oath that she's in fact a suspect of having orchestrated or caused.
Correct.
Of having orchestrated or causing.
or caused the shooting.
That's not what I understood him to say.
I think I'll ask it again.
Thank you.
As you sit here today, you cannot testify that Jessica Church is a suspect in having either orchestrated or caused the shooting. Correct?
I mean, yes, Jessica did not shoot anybody. Can I say that she had anything to do with it? I cannot, but I also can say she did not have anything to do with it at this point. We're still investigating this. This is a
Sure. Obviously, things
It's
can
attempt
change.
murder.
Things can change over time. You could gather new evidence. You could gather new leads. You could
Correct.
reach different conclusions. But I'm asking, as of today, with the information that you have, is it true that you cannot testify under oath that Jessica Church is suspected in having caused this shooting?
I guess I'm a little confused with what you're saying. I can't say she did, and I can't say that she did not. We're still investigating, all the leads that we have right now.
Do you okay, I'm going to ask you the same questions in reference to Mr. Hansen. As you're familiar with the name Trey Hansen?
Yes.
As you sit here today, is Trey Hansen a suspect in the shooting of Brooke Johnson?
Again, I think it's ruled out that he was the person who actually fired the gun, but I can't say whether he's, just like before, whether he had some involvement or had not had involvement. I cannot say at this time.
So still undetermined as to whether
Yes.
Mr. Hansen was involved in definitely not the shooter, still undetermined as to whether he was involved in any manner, correct?
Correct.
Do you have other people that you suspect, when I say other people other than Jessica Church or Trey Hansen that you suspect may have been involved in the shooting?
I guess I'm confused because, of course, we have other people we suspect that might be involved. That's why it's an ongoing, we're still investigating.
Okay. In other words, it's not, you haven't reached a conclusion that it must have been either Jessica Church or Trey Hansen, but you still have to find the evidence. It's still broad, and it could have been someone completely unrelated to Jessica Church or Trey Hansen, correct?
It could have been completely unrelated or it could be related. We don't know yet.
Your Honor, I have nothing further at this time.
I would like to have you spoken to Ms. Church?
We have not.
Okay. And Mr. Hanson?
We have
No?
not.
Okay. Ms. Cole, do you have any questions?
Not that Mr. Schoenfeld didn't already cover.
Okay. Well, I guess that's it.
Okay.
Thank
sorry,
you.
sorry I was late, Your Honor. We had something else going on.
I
tried to get
understand.
as soon as I could.
Thank you so
All right.
much for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And
Thank you, Detective.
yep.
It's locked. All right. So now you ready to cross-examine
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks? Okay. I just need one moment to make a notation.
May I say one thing?
Sure.
I just wanted to comment since Mr. Schoenfeld was making an argument during my objection. My objection wasn't that I didn't want the information to be testified to. It was just that he had already answered that question.
Okay. That's exactly what I picked up on when you made the objection. All right. Go right ahead with your cross-examination of Mr. Brooks.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you just fine, Mr. Schoenfeld.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson, you have been convicted of domestic violence, correct?
I pled guilty to a domestic violence case in Michigan.
And that resulted in a domestic violence conviction, correct?
I'm not sure if it was a conviction or what the final determination was. I believe at some point it can be removed from my record. I don't know.
As you sit here today, you have not sought to expunge it or seal it from your criminal record, correct?
I have not.
And you just testified you pled guilty to the offense, correct?
I believe it was a guilty or a no contest plea. I'm not sure. I had a public defender, so he negotiated the deal. I really don't recall the exact determination.
Okay, you were in fact represented by an attorney, correct?
A public defender, yes, sir.
And Jessica was the named victim of the domestic violence that you were convicted of, correct?
That is correct.
At the time that you pled guilty and were convicted of the domestic violence, you were also on probation, correct?
No, that's not correct, sir.
So if those records reflect that you were on probation, your testimony is that that's not accurate?
I believe that the police report stated that I was on probation, but I was not on any type of probation that was stated. I was actually not put on probation after the pleading of the domestic violence either. There was no probation.
Had you
For
recently
that.
been discharged from probation at the time that you picked up the domestic violence offense?
No, I was discharged from parole for the prison term that we've discussed at length in, want to say, January of 2018, so that would have been a year and a half prior. That's my estimation, but it was quite some time.
In the police report, it reflects that you were also being investigated for child abuse as a result of the incident in Michigan. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not.
In 2014, you were convicted of burglary, receiving stolen property, grand theft of a firearm, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I'm sorry, can you say that date again?
In 2014.
2014, that was burglary, possession of a stolen firearm.
Burglary, receiving a stolen firearm, grand theft of a firearm. All of those were felony offenses, correct?
That's correct.
You were sent to prison, correct?
Yes, sir.
That case arose out of Newport Beach, California, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, Orange County, California. I know that specifically.
Isn't it true that you
It was
also?
the case from 2012. I don't know if the conviction was in 2014, but the offense that was charged was from 2012.
Isn't it true that you also had another burglary case in Pomona, California?
So basically, there was multiple burglary charges related to evidence that was found that had been stolen from multiple locations. So when they determined that the evidence was from a certain location, they charged me with that crime, and I ended up pleading guilty to the entire charge, whatever the totality of all the charges were. I pled guilty in order to receive it.
Are you able to turn up the volume?
So my question to you though is you had a burglary case from 2012 in Pomona, California that resulted in a separate conviction from the 2014 burglary for stealing stolen property and grand theft of a firearm, correct?
I don't know if it was separate, but yes, there was a charge, and I did plead guilty to that charge.
You were sentenced to prison for the duration of 4 years, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. 42 months.
After that, you were placed on parole?
That is correct.
Going back a little further, isn't it true that in 2001, you were also convicted as a result of guilty plea to the crimes of assault, battery, carrying a switchblade, and vandalism?
I'm going to object. Anything over 10 years is not admissible.
Mr. Schoenfeld?
I'll withdraw the question.
Thank you. Sustained.
When you say that you served, I believe you said 46 months, isn't it true that the actual sentence was 4 years, and as a result of good time, the amount of time that you physically spent in custody was reduced?
I served a total of 42 months. I do believe that the original sentence was 4 years.
You have children from a relationship other than the one that you had with Jessica Church, correct?
Yes, sir, I have 2 daughters. One is 16 and one is 13.
The mother of those children is named Adrian.
That's correct.
When was the last time you physically saw either one of your 2 children from your relationship with Adrian Johnson?
It's been multiple years. I don't know the exact length of time. She lives in Texas now. We're now working together to establish visitation type of visit here to Las Vegas. It was actually planned to happen in the end of March and was postponed due to me being shot.
Can you estimate how long it has been since you physically saw it?
It was prior to my arrest in 2012. I have not seen them since my release prison.
Okay, so one child is 13 years old and you have not seen her in 10 years, meaning since she was 3?
Roughly, yes, sir.
And the other one is 16, meaning you haven't seen her since she was roughly 6, correct?
I haven't physically seen them. No, I speak to them weekly on the telephone.
Isn't it true that Adrian Johnson requested and received a domestic violence restraining order against you? Previously?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, take a look at Exhibit 5.
Give me just a second. I've got to pull everything up through my cell here. Give me 1 sec.
Exhibit 5 has not been admitted yet.
Thank you. I'll attempt to lay a foundation.
Okay. Just to be clear, we're talking about plaintiff's exhibits, sir?
Yes.
Okay, I have it.
Okay. You received and saw this document in discovery, correct?
Yeah, I saw it in your filings.
And in fact, you testified on direct examination that you made inquiry of Adrian regarding whether or not she had filed for a protective order that perhaps you weren't served with. Do you recall that?
That's correct.
And the document that you're looking at is a register of actions from the Superior Court of California, County of Orange, where you just acknowledged you previously had a criminal case, correct?
Yes, I did have a criminal case in the County of Orange,
Did you
California.
reside in the County of Orange in or around September of 2011?
I was back and forth between San Bernardino and Orange County. My main residence was in San Bernardino County in 2011.
Did Adrian Johnson reside in Orange County in September of 2011?
Yes, sir. She resided in Fullerton, California, which is in Orange.
And the court record that you're looking at does in fact reflect that Ms. Johnson applied for and received a domestic violence temporary restraining order on September 6, 2011, correct?
Well, I'm looking at the document and I don't see my name anywhere on it, so I don't know if that is in relation to me or whom it's referring to. All I see is her name and a minute order. I don't see anything stating that it was sustained or invoked, and I don't see my name anywhere on the document. I don't know. Am I not looking at the correct document?
If you take a look at the fifth entry, it shows DV temporary restraining order 9/6/2011,
Okay.
and it says
I see that line.
Objection, counsel is testifying about hearsay evidence.
It's a court record. It's an exception to the hearsay rule. It's official record.
Hasn't been admitted.
It hasn't been admitted. The objection's overruled.
Did you see that it says the filing party was Adrian C. Johnson?
I do see her name on this printout. Or I believe this is a register of actions, and it does say her name, but I don't see my name anywhere.
Okay, but you testified on direct examination that you did in fact determine that Ms. Johnson had filed a protective order application against you in or around that time frame, correct?
I asked her if she knew what this was pertaining to via telephone, and she said she thought she may have made some type of filing in regards to a temporary protection order in regards to me. So that was basically the totality of her statement to me. She didn't elaborate from there.
Mr. Schoenfeld, you're pretty soft-spoken. Can we move that microphone closer to you? And
I think it's 'cause
I know from,
a bit of an
I guess
angle.
not. I know from experience, if I ask you to speak up, you will in the first two words that you say after I ask you, and then you'll forget. But I do have a hard time hearing sometimes, and you're also turning your head and looking over at the monitor, which takes your voice away from the mic. And just in case there's an appeal in this case, I don't know why. I think there might be, but anyways, just saying.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure.
Your Honor, I am going to move to admit Exhibit 5 at this time.
Ms. Cole?
Again, it's hearsay. The person whose name is on it isn't here to testify about it, but if the court wants to take it for the weight of what it is, it looks like a printout from the court record, so.
Okay, thank you. I will take it for what it is. Admissibility is a preliminary determination. It's not binding as a factual determination, so I'll give it the weight that it's due. Exhibit 5 is admitted over objection.
Mr. Johnson, did you ever tell Jessica Church that Adrian had died?
I did not.
You ever told Jessica Church that Adrian had cancer?
Yes, and she had breast cancer. She had both of her due to pretty severe cancer.
You cut out there.
Yeah, you cut out.
I said yes. I did share with Miss Church that Miss Swinford was suffering from very serious cancer, and she ended up having to have both of her breasts removed due to the cancer. And I believe, based on our recent conversations, she's still going through some form of cancer treatment to this day.
Has Madison ever met, we'll strike that, just for purposes of the record, the two daughters that you have with Adrian are named Victoria and Olivia, is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Has Madison ever met Victoria or Olivia?
Not physically, no. Spoken to them on the phone.
You know an individual named Trey Hansen?
I do, sir.
Isn't it true that you have previously sent Mr. Hansen at least one text message where you threatened to shoot him?
Absolutely not. No, sir.
So it's your testimony that the text message, let me ask the court, Exhibit 2's been admitted, is that correct?
Yes.
It's your testimony that the text message in Exhibit 2, wherein Ms. Church testified that you sent a text message to Mr. Hansen, show up at the pad, you, I'm going to use the words, fucking bitch, trust and believe, I stay with that thing, and I see you, it's over, you're outgunned, outmatched, and you ain't fooling nobody. I'll make you taste the end of this 45, and I pray for the chance to dome you. It's your testimony under oath that you did not send any of those text messages?
I did not send those text messages.
Are you familiar with a group called Solo Rider?
No, I'm not.
Are you familiar with the term red and white?
Yeah, I believe that's. Say that again. The term.
Red and white.
Yeah, I believe that's Trey Henson's gang, right? The Hells Angels.
So
Isn't that?
my question is, you're familiar with the term red and white?
That's what I attribute it to, Mr. Henson.
Isn't it true that you sent Mr. Hansen a text message that said, just remember, I'm a solo rider. You can find me anytime, any place. All you have to do is ask. You can never have the truth and peace that I have, because truth be told, if Jess and Madison needed me, I'm a be there way before you, and I'm a ride in a way you don't even know how to. You're a fraud, baby boy, and I'm always be a real G. I know you on meth, and it's too late, Bubba. Jess's mom knows too. Did you send that text message to Mr. Hansen?
I don't recall sending that text message, no.
So is it your testimony under oath that you didn't, or that you can't remember whether or not you did?
It's my testimony that I have not sent that text message. I don't recall ever saying anything like that to him.
Have you ever referred to an individual as Big Chad?
Big Chad? Isn't that one of Trey's friends?
So is that a yes?
I don't recall ever mentioning someone named Big Chad, but I think Mr. Henson has mentioned that person to me. I don't know.
Did you
There was a lot of text messages sent from him when I was trying to visit Madison, so I can't recall. I don't have those text messages anymore. I don't remember. But
Isn't it true that you sent a text message to Mr. Hansen on November 26th stating, Happy Thanksgiving, Bubba. Enjoy the family I built. Real R and W in terms of red and white. NWOC 6th Gen, Big Chad and Parker. I was red and white before you knew how to be a real G. You a bum, but enjoy. Just remember, I'll pull up HO card in a minute. Ho card in a minute. Do you remember sending that?
I don't know what that means, and I don't believe that was sent from me. I don't know what. I can't really understand what you're saying.
Is that an exhibit that you're reading from? That
It's Exhibit 7, but it has not yet been introduced. I'm attempting to lay the foundation.
okay,
on it.
thank you.
Have you seen Exhibit 7 before?
I'm looking at it now. It looks like a bunch of screenshots from a phone.
Is it your testimony that you did not send these messages?
I would have to read all of them, but the stuff that you're reading to me, I did not send. I don't know if some of them were sent from me and some of them were created by them, but the stuff you're reading to me, I don't have any recollection of ever sending, so. Some of this, well, let's see. Hard to tell. It's kind of grainy, and I'm looking at it on a cell phone, so I can't tell you if some of it's real or some of it was actually sent by me. I really don't know. What I'm assuming happened is that they text each other and put my name on it.
Who texts each other?
Jessica and Trey.
Oh.
Mr. Johnson, you have a history of drug use, correct?
Yes, as I stated to the court, I've undergone substance abuse treatment for those issues.
And you previously advised the court that you went to Salvation Army and you've been clean and sober for 2 years, correct?
That's correct.
But you in fact tested positive for THC in December of 2021, correct?
That's correct.
Is there an exception under the Salvation Army program for using THC?
The Salvation Army program is mainly focused on alcohol abuse and narcotics. I don't believe they consider marijuana the same as methamphetamine, so I don't think that's their area of focus.
So it's your testimony the Salvation Army program doesn't treat people for marijuana addiction because they accept that it's acceptable to them?
I never met a single person that was in there for treatment of marijuana addiction, sir.
Isn't it true you've also previously contemplated suicide?
No, that's not true.
Did you ever go to Sunrise Hospital as a result of suicidal ideations?
I went to Sunrise Hospital when Jessica and I were living at the Eagle Suites while we were using methamphetamine together, and I really couldn't tell you what I said or what was the reason for going. We were both basically in a methamphetamine-induced psychosis, I would say. And so I basically was ODing, I guess, methamphetamine and went to the hospital.
When was the last time you were in treatment for either mental health or drug addiction?
As I stated, I checked into the Salvation Army in January of 2020, and that was the last time that I received drug treatment, and I've never received any type of mental health treatment or services.
You're currently employed at Spacecraft Components, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Spacecraft Component has white work vans that you're permitted to drive, correct?
That's correct.
Can you take a look at Exhibit 13 in Plaintiff's Exhibit? To the fourth page.
I'm there, Mr. Schoenfeld.
Is that in fact one of the work vans that you have access to at Spacecraft Components?
Is what, in fact? Which
Let's start
which
with
van?
the-
I don't know. I see pictures of vans here, white vans, but I couldn't tell you for sure. I see two that look like the vans that are parked at our facility, but I don't know if those are the exact vans. I can't see license plate numbers.
Do you see, let's look at the bottom right-hand corner first, where there's a
Yes, sir.
big sign that says shipping, and underneath that sign there are two white vans. Is that in fact a photograph of the exterior of Spacecraft Components?
It looks like it. It says vans parked in front of Spacecraft Components on Google Maps. It looks to be their vans.
Okay, and then on the left is the picture from the surveillance video near the tattoo shop when the vehicle was vandalized, and there's a van. Isn't it true that that looks just like the Spacecraft Component van?
It looks like the same make of van. Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, so your version of what transpired is that it's a coincidence that the van that looks just like the one you have from work was at the premises of the tattoo shop when Mr. Hansen's vehicle was vandalized. Is that right?
Objection assumes facts, not in evidence.
Well, it isn't evidence. It's Exhibit 13. There's the report.
Overruled.
There's no evidence that this.
Overruled, Ms. Cole.
So you're asking for my version of
I'm
my
asking-
interpretation of that photo?
I'm asking you if your testimony is that it's a coincidence that the van from the surveillance photo on November 26th, the same day that Mr. Hansen's vehicle was vandalized at the tattoo shop. Question is,
It's my belief that Mr. Henson, as they created false text messages, made false allegations of child abuse, I believe this is another doctoring of them. I believe he's a graphic artist, and that he either doctored this or they had another van and they intentionally did this to, try to defame my character.
okay, if you look at the 5th page of that exhibit, it's a photograph from surveillance video with the van depicted there. So it's your testimony that Mr. Hansen either doctored the surveillance video to include a fake van that looked like yours, or he in fact secured a van that looked just like yours and parked it there. Is that correct?
Well, in the picture you're referring to, I don't know if yours are better than mine, but it's super grainy. I can't even tell in this picture, the 5th picture, if that's the same van. But yeah, it's my belief that he either made a false video based on his, graphic design skills, or they intentionally got a van that looked similar to Spacecraft's van and tried to defame my character. I mean, they've made false allegations of child abuse. They've made false text messages. They've, gone on and on to say I've done things I haven't done. So this doesn't surprise me one bit.
Mr. Schoenfeld, may I ask you a question?
Yes, Your Honor.
In Exhibit 13, the prior page, the 4th page of Exhibit 13, the one we were just talking about,
Yes, Your Honor.
you said the 2 photos in the left column are, you're saying, are surveillance photos taken from, I mean, I haven't heard anybody else testify where those photos came from.
Ms. Church did, Your Honor. That's how we admitted 13. She testified that was surveillance video footage from a neighboring business.
A neighboring business?
Yes, that
Okay.
she secured the footage from the owner of that business.
Okay, I remember.
She also testified that the figure that you can see 2 pages later, that it was her opinion that it was the same build as Mr. Johnson. There's 2 photographs of that.
Okay, so you just said in your questioning of Mr. Johnson that the photo that I'm asking you about, that's the 4th page of Exhibit 13, you said that that photo was taken on a November 26th. Is that 2021, I'm assuming?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, 11/26/2021. And then the next page is a photo, it's marked as November 27th. So these are 2 different days, correct?
Your Honor, I think that the date that it occurred is actually the 27th,
The date that what occurred?
the vandalism to the vehicle.
The vandalism of the vehicle.
That's on the last page of this exhibit.
The vandalism of the vehicle, you're talking about Mr. Hansen's vehicle.
Yes, his tires were slashed.
Okay, and you're saying that
At
was
his
done
tattoo
on
shop.
November 27th.
Oh, the windows were broken, sorry, Your Honor.
The windows were broken.
Of
There
his
were no
vehicle.
tires slashed, right?
That was next at his home, a different date.
Okay, so you're saying that on November 27th, 2021, Mr. Hansen's windows were broken at his tattoo shop.
Front windshield of his vehicle that was parked at his tattoo shop was broken.
The front windshield of his vehicle that was parked at the tattoo shop.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and so these photos on the previous page, the 4th page of Exhibit 13, you're saying that surveillance photos that were taken by, that Ms. Church obtained from a neighboring business, neighboring to Mr. Hansen's business,
Correct.
the day before the incident.
No, the day of the incident, the 27th, I believe is when the incident occurred.
Oh, because you said it was taken the 26th. 26th. The fourth page of Exhibit 13 that has the 2 columns of photos. So there's 4 photos, 4 quadrants of photos.
Your Honor, I believe that the police report says November 26th, when in reality, the date of the incident was the 27th. The report wasn't filed until November 30th, so it was already a couple of days after. But Ms. Church testified that this was the surveillance video that she secured from the neighboring business as a result of the windshield on the vehicle being broken, and that this video was the time frame that it occurred. And then she was able to get Google pictures from spacecraft components as to what vehicles they use, compared them, and Mr. Johnson testified that they do look similar to the vehicles from, or the vehicle from the surveillance video. So
I'm sorry, I didn't follow. Did you follow all of that, Ms. Cole?
No, and I thought Mr. Schoenfeld was representing that it's part of the police report, that it was some kind of police issued information, but now I'm hearing that it's something that Ms. Church got off Google Maps and put together in a collage. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I'm completely lost on this.
Okay, I'll back up and then try to clean it up.
Okay.
So on November 27th, the windshield of Mr. Hansen's vehicle, when it was parked at the tattoo shop, was broken.
And how do we know that that was the day?
Because
Right.
Ms. Church has compared the 2 pictures that we have here of surveillance video. Those are from 2 separate cameras, and they both say the 27th.
So
She secured this after the incident related to the date in question.
so where's
But her statement says 6.
Can we do this? Can we mark Exhibit 13, like, can we call it 13-1, 13-2, so that we can all know which page we're referring to, so that it's very clear? Ms. Cole, does that make sense?
Yes, I don't see a date stamp.
No, there's no bait stamps on here. That's why I want to try and clarify. So what I'm suggesting is at the first page of Exhibit 13, where it's Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Victims Information Guide. At the bottom right corner, can we just mark it 13-1 so we know that's page 1 of Exhibit 13? Does everybody understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then
Yes.
the next page will be 13-2, and that's the first page of the police report. And then the next page is the voluntary statement, that'll be 13-3. The next page is 13-4, and that's the quadrant, the 4 photos, like on an X and Y axis kind of thing. And then 13-5 looks like a surveillance camera at the top of a building. It has the date 11/27/2021. The next page is 13-6, and that has a photograph of, it's a night photo, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles on the left there, and there's a person kind of walking toward the camera. It has the date of 11/27/2021 on the top right. And then, so that's 13-6. The next page is 13-7. And it's kind of the same photo, except that person appears to have now moved to the bottom right of the photo. 13-8 is a picture of a truck with flat tires. It looks like it's the driver's side of a pickup truck with flat tires, and looks like a jack. And that's it. Did you follow that, Madam Clerk?
Your Honor, my Exhibit 13 is only 7 pages, and it was amended on, it looks like 3/7, the whole thing in its entirety.
Okay, I may have messed this up. Let's double check, make sure we got this right.
I think we might have, is the last page of your exhibit, does it have a picture of the truck with the flat tires?
Yes.
Does, okay. So I'm
Okay,
missing a page.
let me compare yours with mine, Madam Clerk. So Exhibit 13, I see your first page is the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Victims Information Guide, and we'll mark that on the bottom right as 13-1. Are you doing that?
I will.
Oh, okay,
I will.
all right,
It's already been admitted, so
yeah.
technically I shouldn't be adjusting anything on it, but with the for exhibit rules, but
Then the second page is the first page of a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department
yes, Your Honor.
police report.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's 13-2. The next page is a
Voluntary
voluntary statement of Jessica Church.
Yes, Your
So
Honor.
that's 13-3. 13-4 is the 4 pictures.
Yes, Your Honor.
13-5 is the surveillance. Okay, that's the one that I think. Let me see. Yours is different
I
from
do
mine.
not have that picture, Your Honor.
This photo here has the 2 palm trees on the left with the date on the top left. This is 11-27-2021 SAT for Saturday. The time stamp is 20/22/19. On the bottom right corner it says camera 404.
I can give my page to the clerk, Your Honor.
Do you have the same pages that I have, Ms. Cole?
Yes, I have 8 pages.
Okay, all right. If you can hand me that. If you can hand that to me, let me compare it to make sure it's the same. So Mr. Schoenfeld just handed me what looks like it's a duplicate of what I have already marked as 13-5. And it's got the 2 palm trees on the left. It's the overhead surveillance camera. It looks like it's taken at night. Is that what you have for 13-5, Ms. Cole?
Yes, in fact, when you were reading them off, all of the ones you read, Your Honor, I matched with mine.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to hand this copy that I just received from the marshal, who he just received from Mr. Schoenfeld. I'll hand that to the clerk so she can insert it there as 13-5. In fact, Mr. Schoenfeld had already marked it with a red pen as 13-5. So now the next page is 13-6, and that has the 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles on the left side. Again, it's overhead surveillance camera from a different location. And it has 11/27/2021 at the top right. And it looks like mine matches with the clerk's. And the next page, the guy has moved to the bottom left part of the page. That's 13-7. And the next one is the pickup truck with the flat tires. That's 13-8. Okay, so now, the testimony or the evidence,
I think this is the confusion that the police report says that on Friday, November 26th, I went and saw my boyfriend's vehicle damaged.
wait, where are you reading?
13-3.
13-3 is the voluntary statement of Jessica Church.
And,
Correct.
Your Honor, I have an objection.
Okay?
Mr. Schoenfeld is trying to testify for his client and adding things that she didn't even talk about.
Well, I don't have any recollection of it. I mean, I
I don't-
remember her talking about this whole thing, but
But he would have to put her back on. I mean, she didn't talk about why there was a discrepancy between the date of her report and the date of the videos.
I don't remember that testimony.
And
at
she
all.
didn't talk about even when this happened that I recall.
I don't.
I just objected to Mr. Schoenfeld testifying facts. I think that the document's been admitted already, so we all know what the documents say.
Yeah. And it says on her voluntary statement that the date that it occurred was November 26th, and the police report also says Friday, November 26th. And then she's got the I should say the rest of these photographs are dated November 27th, so
I would just note, Your Honor, that in the voluntary statement, it expressly states that she requested the camera footage from the neighboring buildings, which is consistent with the following pages that are the camera footage from the neighboring buildings.
But it's not even clear whether that was provided by the police or someone else.
yeah, okay, I'm not sure it hits the mark that you're shooting for, but go ahead. You can ask this witness about all of this, but
I think he's already answered the questions
lot of-
in terms of the vehicle that was similar to his from work being on those videos.
okay.
Mr. Johnson, your vehicle had been vandalized at a point in time prior to November 26th or 27th of 2021, correct?
Give me 1 second, and I will give you that date. (11/19/2021), my vehicle was vandalized, and so was Ms. Cody Courtner, my living girlfriend.
All right, so is it your testimony that it is a coincidence that Mr. Hansen's vehicle was vandalized less than a week later, and that you had no...
No, it's my testimony that I believe they vandalized my vehicle and then made this picture, or whatever this is, this statement to try to say that I vandalized their vehicle, like I said already.
You have no proof that it was in fact Mr. Hansen that vandalized yours or Ms. Courtner's vehicle, correct?
Well, other than the fact that they're one of probably 3 people that had my home address, I didn't physically see them do that, if that's what you're asking.
You were aware that when this case first started, the court had entered a no contact order where you and Jessica were not to have contact with each other unless it was at Donna's house or through talking parents, correct?
I'm not sure that, no, I'm not aware of that. I don't know if it was a no contact order. I think throughout the trial we've all been trying to determine what that actually entailed. I believe that it was my belief Jessica and I were not supposed to have physical contact outside of the court proceedings, yes, if that's the best answer I can give.
Well, let's focus on that. So you knew that there was a court order that you were not supposed to have physical contact with Jessica outside of Donna's house or being in court, correct?
The court ordered that, this court ordered that, I believe, yes, that's my belief.
Okay. Nevertheless, you went to Mr. Hansen's business on November 11th, 2021, correct?
So, as I stated during my testimony with Ms. Cole, I attempted to facilitate a welfare check via Las Vegas Metro PD on November 10th. I waited for 4 hours and was not able to wait anymore because I work at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. depending on the day. And so I left. The next day, Ms. Courtner did a citizen's welfare check on Madison at the tattoo shop, and I drove her to the tattoo shop. But I stayed probably 300 yards away from the front entrance
But you didn't,
in a separate parking lot.
you didn't stay in your vehicle, did you?
No, for Cody's safety, I took a picture of Mr. Henton's license plate in case they assaulted her or anything happened while she was in the facility, because I know his violent past.
That was my next question. You got out of your vehicle and you went to Mr. Hansen's vehicle and took a photograph of it, correct?
Of the license plate, yes, sir.
And that vehicle was in the parking lot of his business location, correct?
In the rear parking lot, yes, sir.
Okay, so you got out of your car, went to the back of the tattoo shop, close enough to Mr. Hansen's vehicle to take a picture of it.